The bullet tore through Chi's shoulder before she even heard the gunshot. She'd seen the gun first, black metal catching sunlight, aimed at a little girl in a yellow dress feeding the penguins. 7 years old maybe, with pigtails and light-up sneakers, completely unaware that someone wanted her dead. Chi didn't think. Thinking would have meant remembering she was just a teacher chaperoning her class on a field trip to Seoul Zoo. Thinking would have meant acknowledging that jumping in front of bullets was insane. Thinking would have meant letting another child die. And she had already failed to save one little girl, her sister near dead at 14, 3 years ago in Lagos, sickle cell disease taking her piece by piece, while Chi held her hand and begged God for mercy that never came. Chi had promised to protect her baby sister, had failed, had carried that guilt across an ocean to Seoul, trying to outrun a shadow that followed her everywhere. Not again. Never again. Chi grabbed the child and twisted, putting her own body between the gun and the girl. The impact knocked them both to the ground in a tangle of limbs. Pain exploded through Chi's shoulder, white-hot and blinding, but she kept herself wrapped around the little girl, shielding her with her body. The zoo erupted into chaos. People screaming, children crying, Chi's students scattering, her co-teacher, Mrs. Park, yelling into her phone for help, blood soaking through Chi's blouse, warm and sticky and too much. "Somi!" A man's voice cut through the panic, raw with terror. Chi looked up through blurring vision. A man was sprinting toward them, tall, dressed in all black, moving with frightening speed and precision. Sharp features, cold eyes, the kind of face that didn't belong at a children's zoo. Behind him came 3 more men in dark suits, guns already drawn, fanning out like trained soldiers. The man in black dropped to his knees beside them. Somi, look at me. Are you hurt? Did they touch you?" "Daddy." The little girl, Somi, crawled out from under Chi and threw herself at him. "That lady saved me. She pushed me, and there was a bang, and..." The man held his daughter with one arm while his other hand pressed hard against Chi's shoulder wound. His face showed no emotion, but his eyes widened at the blood pouring through his fingers. "You took the bullet." Not a question. A statement. He turned to his men. "Kim, get the car. We're taking her to Dr. Lim. Now. I need... ambulance." Chi's words came out weak. The world was tilting. No ambulance, no hospital, no police. The man scooped her up like she weighed nothing. "You saved my daughter's life. Now I'm saving yours. We do this my way. But trust me or don't. Either way, you're coming with me. You're bleeding out, and you're not dying in a zoo parking lot after what you just did." Chi wanted to argue, wanted to demand answers, wanted to know who shoots at children and who this man was, and why he had armed guards. But the world went black before she could ask. Are you ready to know how this ends? Hit that like button and subscribe because this story is about to get so much more intense. You won't believe where this goes. Chi woke up in a bedroom that looked like it belonged in a magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. White marble floors so clean they reflected light. Modern art on the walls that probably cost more than she made in a year. Medical equipment beeping steadily beside the bed, an IV drip in her arm, and a 7-year-old girl asleep in a chair next to her, still wearing that yellow dress from the zoo, now with small bloodstains on the hem. Chi tried to sit up. Pain shot through her shoulder and she gasped. "Don't move." The man in black appeared in the doorway, carrying a tray. "You were shot 4 hours ago. Bullet went clean through, missed major arteries. You're lucky. Dr. Lim says you'll heal completely in a few weeks." "Who are you?" Chi's voice came out hoarse. "Where am I?" "My name is Seal Hajun." He set the tray on the bedside table. Soup, tea, rice porridge. "You're in my home. Penthouse in Gangnam, 32nd floor." "And you are?" Chi looked around at the obvious wealth surrounding her. "Someone whose daughter you saved." Hajun pulled up a chair and sat, his posture rigid and controlled. "Someone who now owes you a debt I can never repay." "I don't want a debt." "The men who shot you were trying to kill Somi." Hajun's jaw tightened. They knew exactly where she'd be. They knew killing her would destroy me. They knew I'd burn this entire city to ash to make them pay. So they tried to take what I loved most. Chi's head was spinning. Who tries to murder a 7-year-old? Someone is trying to hurt me. Hajun leaned forward, his expression flat and cold. "I'm what people call a crime boss. Mafia. if you prefer the dramatic term. And now, because you saved Somi, Yoon's people think you're connected to me. They think you're mine. You're a criminal, Chi said it flatly. Yes. Hajun didn't flinch from the word. And I have enemies, rival organizations. One of them is named Yoon Min-sok. He ordered the hit on Somi, because killing my daughter is the one thing that would break me completely. Why? Chi's hand went to her bandaged shoulder. Why does he hate you that much? Hajun was quiet for a long moment. Then, because I took everything from him first. He stood, walked to the window, stared out at Seoul. 5 years ago, Yoon and I were partners. We ran the Eastern Territories together, split the profits, shared the risks, built something that could have lasted decades. But Yoon got greedy, started dealing in things I wouldn't touch. Human trafficking. Children. Hajun's hands clenched into fists. I told him to stop. He refused. So I gave him a choice. Get out of that business or get out of our partnership. And he chose wrong, Chi guessed. He tried to kill me instead. Hajun turned back to face her. Sent men to my home. My wife was pregnant with Somi at the time. The attack sent her into early labor. Somi survived. My wife didn't. Chi's breath caught. So I destroyed him. Hajun's voice was empty of emotion. Took his territory. Took his business. Took his reputation. Left him with nothing but rage and a need for revenge. He's been trying to hurt me ever since. Tried to kill me. I survived. Tried to destroy my business. I rebuilt. So now he's going for the only thing I have left that matters. My daughter. And I got in the way, Chi whispered. You saved her. Hajun crossed back to the bed. You saw a stranger's child in danger and you didn't hesitate. You took a bullet meant for her. Why? Chi looked at Somi, still asleep in the chair, and saw Ni's face overlapping with hers. Because I couldn't save my sister when she was dying, and I couldn't watch another little girl die in front of me. I just couldn't. Something flickered in Hajun's expression. Not quite warmth, but understanding. You're a teacher? Yes, at Seoul International School. I teach English to primary students. Chi swallowed hard. I need to contact them. Let them know I'm okay. They saw me get shot. Already handled. Hajun sat back down. I contacted your school. Told them you were injured but stable. That you're taking medical leave. Your co-teacher, Mrs. Park, confirmed you were a hero. The police have the shooter's body. One of Yoon's men, already identified. The official story is a random act of violence. You're listed as a victim who's recovering in private care. You can just do that? Control the story? I can do many things when I need to. Hajun's expression was unreadable. And right now, I need to keep you safe. Because Yoon's people saw what happened at the zoo. They saw you save Somi. They saw you take the bullet, and now they think you're connected to me. Chi's stomach dropped. I'm not connected to you. I'm just a teacher who was in the wrong place. It doesn't matter what's true. It matters what they believe. Hajun leaned forward. They think you're mine, my woman, someone I care about, which makes you a target. They'll come for you to finish what they started or to use you as leverage against me. Either way, you're in danger. So what am I supposed to do? Chi's voice shook. You stay here, in this penthouse, under my protection. Hajun's tone left no room for argument. Until I end this war with Yoon permanently. A few weeks, maybe longer. Then, when everyone knows that touching you means dying slowly, you can go back to your life. You can't just keep me prisoner. I'm not keeping you prisoner. I'm keeping you alive. Hajun stood. Your apartment is being watched by my people. Your school knows you're on leave. Everything you need will be brought here, and you'll stay until Yoon is no longer a threat. That's not negotiable. You don't own me. No, but I owe you my daughter's life. Hajun walked to the door, paused. Get some rest. We'll talk more when you're stronger. He left before Chi could argue further. Chi sat there, trapped in a luxury prison, and wondered what she'd gotten herself into. Over the next few days, Chi learned what it meant to live in a gilded cage. The penthouse was massive, 5 bedrooms, a kitchen bigger than her entire apartment, living spaces that felt more like hotel lobbies than homes. Everything she needed appeared like magic. Clothes in her size, Toiletries, books, even Nigerian snacks someone must have researched specifically for her. But she couldn't leave. Hajun's men were everywhere. In the hallway, in the lobby, watching the building from cars parked outside. She saw them through the windows. Hard-faced men with guns and earpieces, keeping the world out, or keeping her in. She should have been terrified. Should have been calling embassies or finding escape routes. But Somi made it impossible to think about leaving. The little girl was desperately lonely. That became obvious within hours. "Do you want to color with me?" Somi appeared in Chi's room the second morning, carrying a box of crayons and a coloring book. "I have pictures of animals. We can color the penguin since that's where we met." Chi's heart cracked. "Sure, sweetheart, I'd love to." They sat together on Chi's bed, Chi moving carefully because of her shoulder, and colored. Somi talked the entire time, a stream of consciousness that revealed so much about her small, isolated world. "I don't go to school because Daddy says it's not safe. Mrs. Kang is nice, but she's old and doesn't like playing. I have tutors, but they're boring. Daddy works all the time in his office with scary men. I'm not supposed to bother him during meetings, so mostly I just play by myself." "That sounds lonely," Chi said gently. "It is." Somi's small hand gripped her crayon too tight. "I wish I had friends, or a mom. Daddy says my mom died when I was born. He has a picture of her, but he gets sad when I ask about her, so I stopped asking." She put down her crayon and pulled Somi into a careful hug, mindful of her injury. "You know what? I lost someone I loved too. My baby sister. Her name was Ni. She died when she was 14, and I miss her every single day." Somi looked up at her with wide eyes. "Does it stop hurting?" "No." She smoothed Somi's hair. "But it hurts less over time, and you learn to remember the happy things instead of just the sad things." "Will you tell me about your sister?" So she did. She told Somi about Ni's laugh, about how they'd shared a tiny room in Lagos, about how Ni loved to dance and sing and make up silly stories. She told her about teaching Ni to read, about braiding her hair, about the way Ni would climb into Chi's bed during thunderstorms, and Somi listened like Chi was giving her treasure. "You're nice," Somi said when Chi finished. "I'm glad you saved me. Can you stay here forever?" Chi's throat tightened. "I have my own home, sweetheart, and a job. I can't stay forever." "But I don't want you to go." Somi's eyes filled with tears. "Nobody else talks to me like you do. Nobody else plays with me. Please don't go." Before Chi could answer, Hajun appeared in the doorway. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes were fixed on his daughter's tears. "Somi, let Miss Chi rest. She's still healing." "But Daddy, go help Mrs. Kang with lunch." Hajun's voice was gentle but firm. "We'll eat together in an hour." Somi left reluctantly, casting one more pleading look at Chi before disappearing down the hallway. Hajun stepped into the room, closed the door, looked at Chi with an intensity that made her breath catch. "She's already attached to you." "I know." Chi met his gaze. "That's why I need to leave as soon as possible, before she gets more attached, before this gets more complicated." "It's already complicated." Hajun crossed the room, sat on the edge of the bed. "Somi hasn't smiled like that in months, maybe years. She doesn't trust people, doesn't open up. But with you, it's like she's a normal child again." "I'm good with children. It's my job." "It's more than that." Hajun's voice was quiet. "You see her. Really see her. Not as a mafia boss's daughter who needs protecting. Not as a burden or a responsibility. Just as a lonely little girl who needs someone to care." "That's because she is a lonely little girl," she said. "And keeping her locked in this penthouse, isolated from the world, is only making it worse." "I'm keeping her alive." Hajun's jaw tightened. "Do you know how many times Yoon has tried to hurt her? 3 times before the zoo. 3 times my men stopped attacks before they reached her. I can't send her to school. Can't let her play in parks. Can't give her a normal childhood because normal means vulnerable. And vulnerable means dead. So she lives in a beautiful prison," Chi said softly. "Safe but alone." "Yes." Hajun stood, walked to the window. Against the Seoul skyline, he looked tired, human. "And I hate it. I hate that my choices, my enemies, my life has trapped her. But I don't know how to fix it without risking her." Chi watched him struggle with the weight of impossible choices and felt something shift in her chest. This wasn't just a criminal keeping her hostage. This was a father drowning in guilt, trying his best in circumstances no parent should face. "Let me help," Chi heard herself say. Hajun turned. "What?" "While I'm here, while you're dealing with Yoon, let me help with Somi, play with her, teach her, give her some happiness in this mess. It's the least I can do." "You don't owe me anything. I owe you." "I'm not doing it for you," Chi smiled sadly. "I'm doing it for her. And maybe for myself. Maybe for the little sister I couldn't save." Hajun stared at her for a long moment, then nodded. "Thank you." That afternoon, Chi helped Somi bake cookies in the kitchen. Mrs. Kang, the kind older woman who ran the household, was delighted to have help and even more delighted to see Somi laughing as she rolled dough. "She's different with you here," Mrs. Kang said quietly in Korean while Somi was distracted. "Lighter, happier. The boss sees it too." "She's a sweet child," she replied in careful Korean. "She just needs attention." "She needs a mother." Mrs. Kang glanced at Hajun's office door. "And the boss needs someone who reminds him he's human." She didn't know how to respond to that, so she focused on cutting cookie shapes and pretending she didn't feel Hajun's eyes on her through his office window. That night, after Somi was in bed, Hajun found Chi in the living room, reading. "Can we talk?" Chi put down her book. "Sure." Hajun sat across from her, and for the first time he looked uncertain, vulnerable, like he was about to say something difficult. "Somi asked me if you could stay." He met her eyes. "Permanently." Chi's heart stuttered. "Hajun, I know what you're going to say. You have a life, a job, an apartment, students waiting for you. This isn't your world, and I have no right to ask you to stay in it." Hajun leaned forward. "But I'm asking anyway." "You barely know me." "I know you threw yourself in front of a bullet for a stranger's child. I know you spent the afternoon baking cookies and making my daughter laugh for the first time in months. I know you see her as a person, not a problem. I know you understand loss because you've lived it." Hajun's voice dropped. "And I know that in 4 days you've done more for Somi's happiness than I've managed in 7 years." "That's not true." "It is true." Hajun started pacing. "I'm a good protector. I keep her fed and clothed and safe and alive. But I'm a terrible father. I don't know how to play, how to make her smile, how to be what she needs instead of just what she requires. And then you show up and suddenly she's coloring and baking and talking about a future that doesn't feel like a prison." "Hajun," she didn't know what to say. "Stay." He stopped pacing, looked at her directly. "Not forever if you don't want, but stay until Yoon is dealt with. Stay and help me figure out how to give Somi something close to a childhood. Stay because she needs you." "And what about what I need?" Chi's voice came out stronger than expected. "I have a life. Students who depend on me. A career I worked years to build. You're asking me to put all of that on hold for a child I just met." "I know." Hajun's expression was pained. "I know it's selfish. I know I have no right. But I'm asking anyway because my daughter smiled today. Really smiled. And I'll do anything, pay anything, promise anything to keep that smile." She looked at this man, this dangerous criminal who was also just a desperate father, and felt her resolve cracking. "I need time to think," she said finally. "Take all the time you need." Hajun moved toward the door, paused. "But while you're thinking, remember that Somi already loves you, and walking away from her will break her heart." He left Chi alone with that weight, and she knew he'd played his card perfectly, because Chi couldn't walk away from a little girl who looked at her like she hung the moon. Couldn't abandon Somi to loneliness when Chi had the power to change it. Couldn't leave without feeling like she was failing another child, the way she'd failed Ni Hajun. Knew exactly which strings to pull, and Chi hated that it was working. Over the next week, Chi's resistance crumbled piece by piece. Somi was a large part of it. The little girl bloomed under Chi's attention like a flower finally getting sunlight. They cooked together, Chi teaching her to make Nigerian jollof rice while Mrs. Kang learned and laughed. They did homework together, Chi tutoring her through math and reading with patience her regular tutors didn't have. They played games and told stories and watched movies curled up on the couch. And Somi started calling her teacher Chi with such affection that it made Chi's chest ache. But it was the small moments with Hajun that truly weakened her resolve. The way he brought her coffee every morning, made exactly how she liked it, even though she'd never told him her preferences. The way he asked about her shoulder, checking the healing wound with surprisingly gentle hands. The way he watched her with Somi, his expression soft, in a way that transformed his entire face from cold crime boss to devoted father. "You're good at this," he said one evening while they watched Somi play from the kitchen doorway. "At what?" "Being what she needs, making her happy. I've tried so hard to be enough for her, but I'm not. I'm just the man who keeps her alive. You're the one making her want to live." "Don't say that." "It's true." Hajun turned to look at her. "And I'm starting to realize you're not just what Somi needs. You're what I need, too." Chi's breath caught. "Hajun, I'm falling for you." He said it simply, directly, like he was stating a fact rather than a confession. "I know it's too soon. I know it's inappropriate. I know I'm your captor, pretending to be your protector. But I can't keep pretending I'm doing this just for Somi. I want you to stay for me, too." "You don't know me," Chi protested weakly. "I know enough." Hajun stepped closer. "I know you're brave and kind and stronger than you think. I know you carry guilt that isn't yours to carry. I know you see the best in people, even people like me. I know that when you smile at my daughter, my whole world feels less dark." He was close enough to touch now. "And I know I don't deserve you, but I'm selfish enough to want you anyway." "This is insane," Chi whispered, even as her heart raced. "You're a criminal. I'm a teacher. We're from completely different worlds." "Then bridge the gap." Hajun's hand came up to cup her face. "Stay. Help me be better. Help Somi grow up happy instead of just safe. Let me prove I can be more than what the world thinks I am. And if I can't, if your world is too dark, then I'll let you go." His thumb brushed her cheek. "But give me a chance first. Give us a chance." Chi should have said no, should have maintained boundaries, should have remembered this man was dangerous, and his world was deadly, and falling for him was the worst idea possible. But she didn't say no. Instead, she let him kiss her, soft and careful, like she was something precious, and she kissed him back with 3 years of loneliness, finally breaking open into something that felt like hope. When they pulled apart, Hajun pressed his forehead to hers. "Stay, please." "I'll stay," Chi whispered, "for now, until Yoon is dealt with. Then we'll see." "I'll take it." Hajun kissed her again. "I'll take whatever you'll give me." They didn't tell Somi about the shift in their relationship, but the little girl noticed anyway. Children always did. "Are you and Daddy friends now?" Somi asked while they colored together a few days later. "Yes," Chi said carefully. "We're friends." "Good," Somi beamed. "I want you to stay forever. Then we can be a real family." Chi's heart twisted. "Sweetheart, my job is at the school. I have students. But you can teach me. And Daddy has lots of money. He can pay you to be my teacher always." Somi grabbed Chi's hand. "Please don't leave. I love you." Chi pulled the little girl into a hug, tears stinging her eyes. Because Somi meant it. This child who'd known her for barely 2 weeks had opened her heart completely, trusting Chi with a love that was pure and unconditional and terrifying in its vulnerability. "I love you too," Chi whispered, and meant it. That night, Hajun found Chi on the balcony, staring out at Seoul. "She asked you to stay." "Yes." Chi didn't look at him. "She said she loves me, that she wants a family." "And what did you say?" "I said I love her too." Chi finally turned to meet his eyes. "Which makes this so much harder. Because I'm falling in love with both of you, and I don't know if I can survive in your world. I don't know if loving you is brave or stupid. Maybe both." Hajun moved to stand beside her. "But if it helps, I'm all in. Whatever it takes to make this work, to keep you safe, to give you and Somi the life you deserve, I'll do it. I'll transition out of the dangerous parts of the business. I'll build something legitimate. I'll be worthy of you." "You're already worthy," Chi said softly. "You're just also dangerous." "Then I'll be less dangerous." Hajun took her hand. "For you. For Somi. I'll be better. She wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that love could transform a criminal into a good man, wanted to think that her presence could make a difference. She just didn't know if wanting something was enough to make it real. The attack came on day 16. She woke to the sound of breaking glass. Hajun was already out of bed. They'd been sleeping in the same room for the past 4 nights, though nothing had happened beyond kissing and holding each other in the dark. His gun was in his hand. His expression was ice. "Stay here." He moved toward the door. "Lock it behind me. Don't come out." The explosion knocked them both off their feet. Smoke filled the room. Alarms shrieked. Through the chaos, Chi heard Somi screaming from her bedroom down the hall. "Somi!" Hajun was already running, and she followed without thinking, her teacher instincts overriding fear. They burst into Somi's room to find 2 men in masks grabbing the little girl. She was fighting, kicking, crying, absolutely terrified. Hajun shot the first man before Chi even processed what was happening. The second man wrapped his arm around Somi's throat and put a gun to her head. "Back off, Seol. Boss Yoon wants the girl. You can hand her over or watch her die. Your choice." Chi saw Hajun's face go blank with a rage so cold it froze blood. Saw his gun steady, calculating angles, looking for a shot that wouldn't hit Somi. But the man had his daughter too close. The gun pressed too tight against her temple. There was no clean shot. Chi thought of Ni dying in her arms while Chi begged God for mercy. The helplessness, the guilt that followed her for 3 years. Not again. She grabbed a heavy bookend from Somi's shelf and hurled it at the man's head with all her strength. He flinched, just for a second, and Hajun took the shot. The man dropped. Somi broke free, running to her father. Chi caught her halfway, pulling the little girl into her arms, feeling her heart hammer like a trapped bird. "It's okay," Chi whispered, even though nothing was okay. "You're safe. I've got you. I promise." Hajun's men poured into the room seconds later, weapons drawn, securing the breach. The fight spilled into the hallways. Gunfire echoed. Chi kept Somi's face pressed into her shoulder, shielding her from seeing the violence. It was over in minutes. Yoon's men were either dead or fleeing, and Hajun was making a phone call with the kind of cold fury that promised death. "Yoon," his voice could have cut steel. "You came into my home. You tried to take my daughter again. You failed, but you crossed the final line." Hajun's eyes were empty of all mercy. "I'm coming for you tonight. Everyone you love, everyone you protect, everyone who's ever worked for you, they're dead. I'm going to tear your organization apart piece by piece while you watch. Then, when you have nothing left, when you're broken and alone and begging, I'm going to put a bullet in your head myself." He hung up, looked at Chi and Somi huddled together on the floor. His expression softened. "Are you hurt?" "We're okay." Chi's voice shook, but she kept her arms around Somi. "We're fine." Hajun knelt beside them, pulling both of them into his arms. For a moment, they were just 3 people who'd survived something terrible, holding each other in the wreckage. "I have to go," Hajun said quietly. "I have to end this tonight, or he'll keep coming. But I need you to promise me something." "What?" Chi looked up at him. "Stay with Somi, keep her safe. And if I don't come back, don't." Chi's hand gripped his shirt. "Don't say that." "If I don't come back," Hajun continued, "take her somewhere safe. Raise her. Love her. Give her the life I couldn't. There's money set aside, instructions, everything she'll need. Promise me." "I promise." Chi's throat was tight. "But you're coming back. You have to." "I plan to." Hajun kissed her hard and desperate. Then he kissed Somi's forehead. "I love you both. Remember that." Then he was gone, walking into a ward she prayed he'd survive. Chi spent the next 6 hours holding Somi, reading to her, singing Nigerian lullabies Ni used to love, keeping the little girl distracted from the terrifying truth that her father might not come home. "Is Daddy going to die?" Somi asked at one point, her small voice breaking. "No, baby." Chi held her tighter. "Your daddy is strong and smart, and he's fighting to keep you safe. He's going to come back to us." "Promise?" Chi couldn't promise, but she did anyway. "Promise." At dawn, the door opened. Hajun walked in covered in blood, not all his own, with exhaustion written into every line of his body. But he was alive, whole, home. "It's done." His voice was rough. "Yoon is dead. His organization is destroyed. Everyone who knew about Somi, everyone who was involved in the attacks, they're gone. You're safe now. Both of you. Somi launched herself at him, crying and laughing simultaneously. Hajun caught her, held her like she was the most precious thing in the world. Then he looked at Chi. I came back. You came back. Chi crossed the room, wrapped her arms around both of them, and let herself cry with relief. They stood there as the sun rose over Seoul, a makeshift family forged in violence, but held together by love. Later that day, after Hajun had showered and slept and woken to find Chi watching him from the bedroom doorway, he said, You can leave now. The threat is over. You're safe. Your life is waiting. Chi looked at this man who'd walked through hell to protect his daughter, at the little girl sleeping peacefully down the hall, finally safe enough to dream without fear, at the life she'd stumbled into that was messy and complicated and absolutely nothing she'd planned. What if I don't want to leave? Chi said quietly. Hajun sat up. Chi, Somi needs me, not just for a few weeks, for years. She needs someone to teach her and play with her, and show her that the world is more than just this penthouse in danger. Chi walked into the room. And you need me too, to remind you that you're more than just a protector, to help you transition into something legitimate, to be a partner, not just someone you're keeping safe. Stop pretending trying to be a hard man. You want to stay. Hajun's voice was careful, like he was afraid to hope. I want to try. Chi sat on the bed beside him. I'll need to go back to teaching, eventually. Maybe at a different school, maybe part-time. I'll need my own space sometimes. I'll need you to promise you're really getting out of the worst parts of this business. But yes, I want to stay. I want to be with you, with Somi. I want to see if we can build something real. Hajun pulled her into his arms, buried his face in her hair. I'll give you anything, everything, whatever you need to make this work. Just give me honesty and effort and time. She pulled back to look at him. And love Somi the way she deserves, the way I'm learning to love her. And you? Hajun's hand cupped her face. How are you learning to love me? Completely. She smiled. Stupidly. Against all logic and reason, but completely. They kissed as Seoul woke up outside, as a new chapter began, as 3 broken people started healing together. 3 months later, Chi stood in front of a different classroom at a smaller international school, teaching English to a new group of students. She came home every afternoon to a penthouse that felt less like a prison and more like home, to Somi doing homework at the kitchen counter, to Hajun building a legitimate security consulting business, slowly transitioning out of crime.